Inside is probably the best comedy special that barely made me laugh. And it's also probably the best comedy special of all time. I don't want to say there's not a lot of funny material on here. There is. The scene where he goes into his reactionception thing where he keeps reacting to himself. Definitely delivered a few XDs among other things. He's an expert at satire and overly self-aware writer, and really he's just a really good student of the internet. Like, he'd be the person I'd feel incredibly awkward trying to show a YouTube video to, because I know he'd already seen it and he could likely offer a way better take on it than I could. And Bo was born here on YouTube alone in his room, and there's parallels in this thing to his YouTube days and his earlier specials. But because of that, for me, I could kind of predict the punchlines at certain points just because I know his work. And I think that's a cool thing in this case. I think Bo works hard to have a deeper emotional understanding with his audience. Most comedy routines are centered around relatability and social commentary, but rarely do we learn anything that insightful about the character of the comic. So when I say it didn't really make me LOL, that doesn't mean anything. It's just that the dramatic elements, the production, the editing, the meta-ness, the theatrics, and the emotional depth really overpower the pure comedy shit. And for those who haven't seen it yet, one, you should, but Inside was recorded entirely over the course of the COVID-19 pandemic in Bo's guest house without a crew and obviously with no audience. So for a surface level analysis, that's kind of why it's a big deal. And holy my goodness, it looks like it's currently the highest rated television special ever on Metacritic. Maybe you guys do not need me to explain why it's good, but please allow me to explain why this is good. This is a landmark release, not just because of how well it taps into the zeitgeist, the pandemic, politics, social issues, but really just because of its format. The combination of very practical, homemade production, inspired editing, and nuanced themes make this thing feel way more cinematic than it really ever needed to be. It utilizes the medium of video to its advantage with various camera and lighting techniques like dramatic slow zooms and colorful projector displays. There's this one transition at the end where he goes outside and he isn't comfortable and he pounds back on the door to get back in, and it cuts to the same shot on a projector back inside the room as he watches himself. I don't know if this is borrowed from something, but I really thought it kicked ass. And the special also functions as a musical, a theater piece, a one-man, one-set show that Bo could totally perform live if he felt comfortable doing so. But this isn't a live show, and that's made clear by the timing and carefully placed cuts that move the story along and often shift the tone of the work completely. And I know that's a small, perhaps useless observation, but it's these elements that distinguish this thing from a normal comedy special. There's no improv, there's no live audience, so he compensates for this lack of organic energy and spontaneity by constantly referencing the medium he is working in and the limitations that he has both creatively and psychologically, deepening and further grounding the emotional and artistic conversation he wants to have with the audience. And we've seen this in his work before. In Make Happy, which I also adore, he heavily addresses his issues and anxieties surrounding being an entertainer while being an entertainer. But in Inside, obviously, there are no laughs, which would be a huge obstacle even for the greatest stand-up comedians. Like, imagine even legends like Dave Chappelle just talking alone in a room with no audience for an hour and a half. I mean, you'd get good jokes, but it would be so boring. This is an hour and a half of Bo Burnham in his room alone. And not only is it not boring, but it's rewatchable. We get sequences like in the first few minutes where he's literally setting up his studio that he's working in. The whole special is littered with visual reminders of the creation and writing process. 10 minutes in, he does an actual talking head where he's like, yeah, I'm doing a comedy special. This is how I'm making it. I want to kill myself. LOL. Even if these fly-on-the-wall parts of the show didn't serve a narrative purpose, it would still be pretty cool to see. But these behind the scenes interludes serve to parallel his insecurities. He has an overwhelming fear of judgment and criticism, and these sequences really help the audience understand and connect to the problems that he's having. I think this is what allows this sometimes incredibly heavy-handed political commentary to work and not feel like the exact type of cultural ideology that he's making fun of. While I would love to talk more about the lyrical themes, there are probably better discussions of that online already. I do, however, want to talk about the music. There isn't any groundbreaking, unconventional, or your experimental work going on to the music, and obviously there doesn't need to be. That wouldn't make sense, and it would add too much self-indulgence to this thing, and there's already a lot of that on here. Not that that's a bad thing. Really, I don't think that's a bad thing. The songs are precise and focused to lyrical themes. They're catchy as hell. They're clever as hell and well made. And well made is rare in comedy. Like most comedy songs or musical parodies solely serve to make you laugh, and that's a good rule to follow, pretty easy to understand. So usually songs in this genre don't need to have any memorable melodies or even really be good at all. But the songs on Inside, you can tell that there's some love in them, and that Bo kind of wants to flex his songwriting muscles for a little bit. Some of the songs simply have no other choice than to be good because the laughs in them are so sparse. I'm a sucker for a good closing medley, so I'm thinking the track Goodbye, the closing medley, is my favorite cut on here. Do not ask me why, but I get heavy What's Your Story Morning Glory vibes from it. I think it's just the way he sings the chorus. It also ends with an awesome reprise of Look Who's Inside Again, another unit of an earworm. I will say that some of the songs are unnecessary. Sexting, I guess, does its job in making fun of modern dating and evoking the relatability of being horny, but it's not funny enough to make up for its lack of depth, especially when it's surrounded by so many more layered and personal songs. And you know, some songs lyrically get on the verge of becoming almost like Instagram comedy music. But then like a moment later, boom, you're hit with some honorable sincerity, and boom, you're hit with a fucking slapper. This thing is a masterpiece, maybe the most compelling and reflective work to come out of the pandemic. This genre was written, composed, performed, shot, edited, all by Bo, a singular person. Like, in terms of movies, and yeah, I'm calling it a movie now, this is as singular of a vision as you can get. Even with the most iconic and recognizable directors and writers, they're using hundreds of people to get their ideas into a presentable manner. That's a lot of middlemen, and usually it's a good thing. The specialization of labor, generates higher quality results. And this thing wouldn't be impressive if it was executed in an amateur manner, but Bo delivered us spectacular results, so I'll be delivering him a strong 9.3. Our first 9? Yeah, first 9. This is literally the second video, so don't get too excited. But let me know what you think. Does this special deserve the hype? How have you coped with the pandemic? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching this episode of Come Watch TV. Do not hesitate, like literally do not hesitate to subscribe, like, or share this video. It would mean the world to me. Hopefully you could utilize this channel as a source of good content or as a comfort watch, given that I will likely cover a lot of the same content you guys all know and love. Hopefully I see you guys next time. Now, go watch some TV.